Mr. Chairman and members of the school board. First of all, as an action item for you this evening, we have the approval of our 2021-2022 health insurance rates. And this is kind of an exciting thing to present to you all. I'm not going to lie to you. Our health insurance renewal for 2021-2022, of course, was a calculated decrease of 12% by our health insurance consultants. But we wanted to choose a more conservative approach, and our goal was to a targeted overall 6% decrease in premiums for next year. For the school system, our goal was to try to push as much as that decrease over to the employee side to achieve parity with the county health insurance rates. And of course, the county kept theirs the same and utilized their decrease on the employer side. And so we're very pleased here this afternoon to say that we can finally bring our employee rates to match the county employee rates for the first time since going self-funded. And you see the new rates there in the chart and as compared to the county rates. For our employees who like health insurance, this is a substantial decrease in premiums in 6 of 8 categories. The Key Care HSA employee only rate will not change. The Key Care HSA employee plus children will have a slight increase of $10 per month to correct an issue with air rate compared to the county rate. But for all the other categories, that reduction ranges from a decrease of $22 per month to $261 per month in our employees' paychecks. And you see those amounts in the chart below, as well as those percentages. So, you know, it's just amazing to me that you've got the potential of a 26, 32, 35, 38% decrease for some of our employees in these categories. So that's just real money that's going to go back into our employees' hands. I also like to point out, and I did not do a comparison with all school systems, but I did obtain a copy of the new health insurance rates for Radford City Schools, and as you can see, we're very well positioned as compared at least to them, and hopefully our other surrounding school systems as it relates to recruiting and retaining our teachers. So this overall decrease in health insurance premiums for the school system is $260,124. That's based on current enrollment. And the impact of this decrease for employees is 19.5%, or an overall reduction of $149,220 that basically we're going to be returning to our employees in their pockets, if you think about it. For next year, that's the total amount that they would be seeing in their wallets. Even after those employee rates were reduced, we also the school board would be showing a 2.7% decrease in air contributions that would total $110,904. Now again, this is based on current enrollment, that savings that we would see. And that's why I would caution you that that amount, my prediction is that amount will basically evaporate pretty quickly once we have new employees that have not taken health insurance with us before, as well as folks that may be on employee only switching to a family plan. That's a huge, that basically doubles the cost, well, more than doubles the cost on the employer side. So my projection is that 110,000 will go away pretty quickly, but I'll report to you all if we keep that savings in the line item and just see what enrollment looks like. That's something I can report back in the fall and let you all know. But that would be our recommendation, to accept these rates and also to leave that savings in the health insurance budget for now, and to see what open enrollment tells us. But this is a very one of those bucket list list kinds of things that for me, to present to you all tonight, that I'm just very happy to do so.
That would have been a bucket list for myself as well, Chris. When I came on board in October of 2014, the disparity in our health insurance premiums compared to the county was a committee, was a huge item that we needed to work on. And we spent a long time coming. Here we are 8 years later, and you mentioned 149,000 in savings for our employees. The other night at our joint meeting, of course, and I'm grateful for the county for what they did. They mentioned the county employees sacrificing $50-some thousand. I'm very appreciative of that, very much so. But we paid that $149,000 for 8 years, plus, and that's over $1 million that our school employees have paid. And that's, this has been a long time coming. So it's a huge, huge win for Pulaski County employees. You look at the differences between Pulaski County school employees now and Radford City, and you're talking about as much as $10,000 for a family per year. That's just massive amounts. So it really does so much to help our value prop for our employees as well, for the school employees as well. Huge victory for Pulaski County Public Schools, Chris. Thank you so much for everything that you have done. Thank you so much for your staff, everything that they have done, and the work on this, and of course to our employees as well. We've apparently done a pretty good job of staying healthy, so thank goodness for that. Any comments by the board or for Chris, or questions for Mr. Staff?
I would just like to echo what you said, Mr. Hurst, that this has been something that I wanted to see from the beginning of my term on the school board, and I am very happy to now see that we have parity with the county rates, and that this is a decrease going back to the employees. I'm also very happy to see that we are in a more competitive position with at least one other school division around, and that should help us out in the long run, too. And I was very happy to see that.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Anyone else have any comments?
Can we mail this to the teachers in Radford? That $10,000 savings more than takes up for the difference in pay scale.
Yes.
It's like 10 times the difference in pay scales that it's there.
Yeah, yes.
That should be a significant.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's no longer a toll to cross that bridge.
Right.
All that.
Well, there's plenty of billboards in the county. There's a few in Radford as well. Thank you again. Just a huge, huge victory for Pulaski County Public Schools. There's no other comments. We have, this is an action item this evening. Is there a motion to approve the new health insurance rates for Pulaski County Public School employees for the school year of 2021-2022?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the new insurance rates for our employees in 2021, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Ms. Porter?
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Dr. Cash?
Yes.
Ms. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. That was a good one. That brings us, it is, it absolutely is. Let's move on to our budget for 2021-2022. Mr. Stafford, you're still at the podium.
Yes, sir. So I felt like I've presented this countless times, so I will try to be quick and maybe highlight the items or areas of the budget that we have adjusted that may be different from what's been presented previously. So this would be our proposed are for the final school operating budget, which combines a increase of $1,109,737 in projected state revenue with a $292,000 increase in county funding, would be our operating budget priorities for 2021-22. And as you see, that's, the state figure has not changed. And so the increase in the county's contribution to schools, I will try to explain this as best I can. It is a $292,000 increase. However, it is a net revenue gain of $232,000 for the school system. That consists of a $52,000 increase in the contribution to school operations, as well as an increase of $240,000 for the recovered costs. However, the net effect of that is actually $180,000 because we have to increase our expenditures by $60,000 as well. So this was the adjustment that I guess we had proposed during the joint meeting, and after review by the county finance staff and some communication back and forth, this was approved as part of the total contribution for schools. So what this basically does now is this Pulaski County Public Schools will not be paying anything toward school resource officers that we're not going to be reimbursed for. So before, prior to this, we were paying an additional $180,000 over and above the basically the transfer back and forth. And now this eliminates that, and we are the county's paying the cost. The money flows back and forth, and they are able to count that in their contribution toward the school system. So it works out to a net gain of $180,000 for us. So with the budget priorities, again, this is their 5% minimum 5% increase and a step increase for teachers. I did want to bring that up because I know this is a couple people, teachers have asked this, but it does include a step. The budget priority 2 would be the minimum 5% increase for our other support staff. Our budget priority 3 would be the new pay scales for custodians and the school nutrition staff, which would put us in a better position in terms of the new minimum wage increases that are coming up. We have, if you want to advance the budget priority 4, we have included a change, one more change, and that is to, and it has been discussed in some of our budget conversations prior to now, with the comparison of their administrator pay in comparison to other surrounding school systems. The one position that had the most disparity for us was that of elementary assistant principals. That ranged from minus 16 to 31% below the average. However, we did, through further research, most of those elementary school APs are employed either 11 or 12 months in those other school systems. So we recommended that this would be a way that we could increase their pay with really not a huge increase in the number of days worked. So the next slide, we mentioned using the current year data, the extending their contracts to 11 months would reduce that difference. It's still below average, but that range gets reduced dramatically down to minus 2.4% to minus 15.2% below that average. And again, we're still comparing, a few of the school systems employ those the elementary APs for 12 months, so it's not it's actually probably a little closer than what it may appear by moving to 11 months. So this action is another part of our recommendation forward a full revision of our administrative salary scale. The total cost of this, is $34,916, which includes the added fringe benefit costs. As you know from our, talks with the county, there was, recommendation for, in lieu of a higher, actual contribution to school operations, in order to give the raises that we wanted to give, to actually reduce the amount in our school, bus replacement line item and purchase those buses, out of the school capital fund. Of course, that would, potentially reduce the amount of money, available to fund, capital projects. At this time, our recommendation is to initially reduce that, in the current budget, there's $482,261 in the school bus replacement budget line item. We can reduce that, amount by $337,042, and still have some money left over. I think it's on the next slide. It will tell you. I think the next slide. Yeah, so even after this reduction, we would still have, $145,219 in the school bus replacement, budget line item to start 21-22. Now that's only enough to purchase at this point one school bus. Our recommendation, tonight would be to delay school bus purchases until at least the second quarter of next fiscal year. It is not something that we have to do on July 1st, order school buses. I mean, it is something that we have a full fiscal year to do. This would give us time to assess other budget variables like student enrollment and other cost savings, for us to fully determine whether we could purchase any more school buses out of the operating, and whether we do indeed have to use some of the school capital fund, to try to meet that target of 5 school bus replacements, for next year. But again, it is something that can be, deferred, that decision, until, after the next fiscal year starts, and that would be our recommendation tonight, not to make that decision at this point. Finally, of course, this is the budget contingency that we've, made available for next year's, budget that was already in our budget this year. And then I think the next slide is probably the summary, yes, of all the changes to our, budget for FY '21 and '22. And I would be glad to try to answer any questions you may have. I know there's some new information, in that presentation.
So, Mr. Stafford, are we gonna go ahead and order one bus? Or are we just gonna put all ordering off?
Our recommendation would just be to put off, until maybe after, we have a firm grasp of our student enrollment, for next fall, to see, the DOE has us, with another projected, or Weldon Cooper with another decrease. If we have stable enrollment like we did this year, that would be some additional funds that we were not even including in the budget. So we would just delay it, and it's probably easier just to order more than one at one time, rather than do one and then do however many later. And again, it's not something that has to be done during the summer. We can order those buses at any time. And in fact, the ones we ordered this year, there's such a demand right now, there's a delay. We ordered those, and I can't remember if it was December or January, and we were able to purchase 2 that were on the lot, and then the 3 had to be, assembled, and we're still waiting on those. I think it's gonna either be this month or next month before those come in.
Is there an increase in price right now based on demand?
We did not see that in our, in the order we placed, but I would think it's probably gonna go up. I know that when I first started here, seems like a long time ago, but the cost of the school bus was, $65,000. And now, a regular, school bus is $95,000. And it's just, it is, it's gonna go up every year for sure. And of course, they go up because they have better technology, in them as well.
Well, they've gone, anything in the automotive industry right now, I'm sure you're aware of this. It's hard to get a hold of, because of the microchip shortage, the steel demand, steel prices are going up, labor prices are going up. And the shortage of labor just because some businesses still have to not completely staff the business, so they don't have 100% employees working in places. So hopefully that'll level off some point in the future where the prices and the demand allow us to purchase them. I think it's a good plan to defer until later.
Any other comments?
And I did get a question, from one of the PCA officers today. I did wanna, if anyone's watching on the video, I did, for this agenda item, I did include several salary scales, ones that we had dealt with in our meetings, previously, the new teacher scale, the custodial scale, and the school nutrition scale, as well as the changes to the administrative salary scale for, specifically because of the change, for elementary, assistant principals. However, I do want to say that all of our salary scales will be updated with the 5% increases. So all employees with a contract will receive the 5%. I did get a question, I think there was some, because someone in a particular position didn't see their salary scale on there, they were afraid that they would not be getting that 5%. But I just want to say that we are, tonight, that we are guaranteeing a minimum 5% increase for all contracted employees for next year. We just haven't updated all of our 20 salary scales yet.
So the scales we have in here are the current salaries without, the current salaries with the steps, but not with the 5%.
No, the scales that are on the agenda will be the new scales for next year.
Okay.
So those are, what we're, it reflect the 5%, but we just haven't updated all of the other 15 or however many salary scales that we have.